Hello everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I am Ariel. Welcome, beautiful soul, to another episode of Ariel's Magic Portal. Thank you for tuning in, whether you are tuning in live or via recording. So today's episode is a potent one, it's a very powerful one, and it's a very relevant one for a lot of people, depending on what life stage you are, especially if you're in the 40s or getting close to the 40s. But if you are after 40 already, you can still tune in and looking back, what are that stage? In particular, why is it so potent and how you can still align with that energy. So we are going to dive into a powerful astrological passage that many of us are walking through in our 40s, the Saturn opposition and the Uranus opposition. And don't worry, if you don't know what they are, I will explain it very clearly in this video. So just like tuning in if you know what they are, and if you have any insights, please feel free to share in the comments. That will benefit everyone. The Saturn and Uranus oppositions, they are not just astrological events. If you are new to astrology, Saturn is a planet and Uranus is also a planet. Just a little disclaimer, I am not a full-on astrologist. I am an alchemist. I love to blend different disciplines of alchemical work, whether it's astrology, gene keys, human design, life alchemy, how to take care of the body, the inner alchemy, physical work. I blend everything. I get all these knowledge, wisdom, and practices into my own personal life. So to transform my own life, being that inner alchemist. I'll share with you a lot of information so that you can get some background information. And if you like to explore deeper into these topics, there are so much beautiful resources openly, generously shared by so many people, so many beautiful souls across the internet already. In particular, I want to highlight certain things in a way to inspire you to look at how these astrological events actually are so relevant into our everyday life, and how we can use those energies and use those understanding for our own transformation and alchemy. First, some background information. Saturn and Uranus opposition, all these planetary transitions. So we're talking about the position of the planet. These planets are always moving, and it's our relationship from Earth perspective with this celestial body that creates specific geometries. And these geometries we call aspects or patterns, and they are containing potent information that have an effect on our psyche, internal system and external system. Because we know that whatever we experience outside, external, is simply a reflection and an extension of our inner state. As within, so below. That is a distillation of the Hermetic studies and science. They are astrological events, but it's not just one point in time. Usually they span from a period of time. Depending on different astrologers, they might have different identification of when do you think certain planets start to come the orb of influence. That depends on a lot of things. There's no right or wrong. Some people only consider an aspect is important when it's very tightly close to that degree of certain aspect. Some people have a wider viewed, bigger window. I leave it up to you. Personally, there are two rules that I go by. One is I like to have 2 degrees before and 2 degrees after. So it's a 5 degree kind of zone. So if exact is in the middle, then I'll look at when it starts to become 2 degrees close to that aspect and 2 degrees after, because the planets are always moving. So I consider 5 degree off in that way. Also, second thing I will consider is my relationships with those particular celestial bodies. We have to understand that they are not just external things. Yes, they are in the physical plane of existence. We see them as solid objects. I invite you to look at them more from a point of view of they are an aspect of consciousness. So in the non-physical realm, they actually embody the aspect of consciousness that each of us deep in our psyche also possess. So look at them as archetypal consciousness that all of us can relate to. And all these archetypal energies and consciousness, they can have an expression that is what we call a more positive or healed or illuminated higher octave expression, or they can have a denser, lower vibration, more negative, if you have to use that word, or unhealed expression. Inherently, nothing is really good and bad. It's simply how those energy express out. So when I look at whether I will pay attention to a particular planetary influence, because there's always something happening in the sky. If I have to look at every single thing, that will be very overwhelming. So I streamline my consciousness to particular, depending my relationship with it. It's simply about our relationships with those archetypal energies. Some people are very comfortable with certain planets, some people are not. And so I invite all of us to just look at them with curiosity. Yes, last week I dropped in this, be curious about what is happening in our life instead of judging what is happening in our life. So let's dive in a little bit deeper about what these planet of consciousness represent. When we talk about opposition, everyone will experience at different ages, but usually it's around the mid-40s or the early 40s. To get it exactly, you will have to look at your charts. Have already included the link that you can get your free natal charts and also the transit, so you can see how the transitioning planet is creating this opposition energy with your natal position. Your birth chart, your natal chart, and your blueprint of your incarnation. And there are many ways to look at them. There's so many different schools. And when the transit, the opposition happen when the Saturn and Uranus opposition, right, is for Uranus is, so you're born with your natal chart, and then every day, the planet is moving. So at one point, the planet Uranus is going to move to a point which is directly in opposition degree of your natal Uranus. So I will give you an example here. There's two circles, right? Inside is my natal chart, and then outside is my transitioning planet, like what is happening in the sky at certain moment. It can be right now, it can be 5 days from now, or 10 years from now. You can use these apps to track the positions of the planets. So you see, this is the Uranus in my natal chart. And then this is right now, what is the Uranus doing? It's an exact opposition degree. Here is a Saturn transitioning right now. At the outer circle is the transition, what is happening in the sky. And then the inner circle is my natal position. So basically, the planet of Uranus is exact opposite degree of my natal Uranus. And Saturn is exactly opposite to my natal Saturn. Yes, so earlier I mentioned about the orbs of influence, right? When do you consider that opposition happen? It doesn't have to be exact degree. These planets move quite slow. So you will probably feel the difference within the 2 degree before and after that exact point. And you have to consider that the planets also can go retrograde at times. That's why everyone might experience the Uranus and Saturn oppositions at different stages during the early and mid-40s. And personally, I had just a few weeks ago, because of the retrograde, right? The 2 degree of the Uranus is actually around 1.5 years for me. And so it's sort of like, this is the exact point of Uranus opposition. And the Uranus can go, okay, like 2 degree, and then after 2 degree, and then, it retrograde. Like, let's look from the Earth, those planets as if they're going backward. So, like 1.5 years for influence to happen. And it can be longer, depending on your own relationship with these planets. And I will talk about, like, what are key energy signatures of these 2 planets, so you can tune into, like, how my relationship with these archetypal energies in my life, in my psyche. I hope it's clearer for you what is opposition, and you can consider it as a range, as a period in your life. There were actually 3 times the Uranus actually hit exact opposition, exact degree, but then they go like back and forth, transitioning Uranus. When it is opposition degree, usually the energy is the highest. The peak of that energy is speaking directly in your face. And like, so time is like checking in, asking questions to ensure that you are learning the lesson? Have you made the necessary changes? What are you going forward? So I am very grateful that I have gone through the last Uranus exact opposition, which like slap face, like from one is going further and further away from my exact point, which is the exact point would be the of those like question and deep inquiry. It's a good, really wake up call. Like it's a lot of things into perspective. Okay, so highlight first right now the energies, the particular keynotes of Saturn and Uranus. So you can get a feel of what they are trying to tell you. And then I will tell you more about the opposition, what they particularly means, to help you to lock in that reflections even deeper. Okay, now, welcome to the stage. Whoa, the celestial bodies of Saturn and Uranus. First, start with Saturn. A lot of you might have heard of Saturn return. Usually it's between 2830s when planet Saturn is going circle, right, around 28 to 30 years to your original Saturn position that you were born with. So that's called Saturn return. A lot of people probably experience that already. And you know usually that is the time when you feel so many changes in your life. For example, you might feel to question a lot of things. You start to completely your life. Literally, during my Saturn return, my life like shift completely after that point, around like 28-30. From finance, corporate job, with my then partner that were planning to marry, and then bam, no, this is not the life that I want. And then things completely shift. A lot of you might feel maybe in more dramatic or less dramatic kind of initiation from Saturn during your Saturn return. So Saturn is what we call the master builder. Some keywords for you to play around and paint the picture. We're talking about structures, discipline, responsibilities, karma, time, maturity, boundaries, authority, inner and outer authority, integrity, mastery, legacy. It's a very Capricorn energy because Saturn rules the sign Capricorn. I think about as a CEO, the Jedi Yoda, the teacher, the authority figure. A lot of people usually also associate with hard work but prefer effort. So it's about practicing self-discipline, taking responsibility, like building a temple. This master builder is bringing form, order, and structure. And Saturn teaches us through commitment and challenge. Because if we want to create something that lasts a long time, creating legacy, we need commitment. And Saturn also reveals what is sustainable, what is not. So start to get a feel of like this energy, like what archetype consciousness represent in your psyche and also in your external life, how you live your life. And it invites us to have long-term vision and grounded wisdom. Remember the Yoda. So it asked, what are you here to build? What are your legacies? How are you taking responsibility? What kind of legacy you're building for the long-term success? So the shadow can be when it's unhealed, unhealthy kind of expression of the Saturn energy. It's like, because it's all about structure, right? When it's too much structure, too stubborn, right? Inflexibility, rigidity, over control, and fear of change. Because you so hold on to structure that you fear of change. But the gift, when it's in a healed, higher expression of the Saturn energy, we're building legacy. It's about maturity and mastery, and it's sacred leadership, like the sacred CEO. It's about also wisdom and success through dedicated, sustained work and effort. Alright, so this is Saturn. I hope you get a feel of how your relationship with these energies in your life. For example, how you are with your opinion, how structured you are with your life, and what legacy are you here to build. Thinking about long term. So Saturn is really inviting us to think about long term. And now we have another planet to the stage. Uranus is like the cosmic liberator. It's about awakening, revolution, rebellion, truth, freedom, disruption, innovation, sudden change, Not just change, but sudden, drastic changes. Electricity, the genius, the mad scientist, authenticity. And I personally also want to add more, because these are the general ones, right? I also want to add more about connection with Atlantean technologies, the star seeds, New Earth, Aquarius, because Uranus ruled the sign of Aquarius, and we are right now in the age of Aquarius, and also Pluto is in Aquarius. So it's a lot of Aquarian energy, like the New Earth that is happening right now. The key energies for Uranus is about breaking free. It's like bursting open, break through limitations, outdated system, and activates sudden insights and downloads. Just like boom, bop. And starseeds cosmic activation, I found is very relevant to the Uranus energy. It was for the cause for originality, soul truth, and evolution. It's like shaking us. Are you free to be your true self? The shadow can be chaotic, just chaos everywhere, because it's like all about sudden drastic changes and impulsiveness, detachment, or weird. Not in a fun way, but weird in a like not healthy way. And the gift of Uranus are the gift of radical authenticity, quantum awakening, just like lightning bolt, fast, sudden, galactic activations, cosmic activation, and innovation, technologies, and uniqueness. How can you own your own uniqueness? So that's the energy of Uranus. Okay, so the two individual keynotes about these two planets, and now I'm diving into the Uranus opposition and the Saturn opposition. Because when opposition happens, it's like slap in the face kind of call, full contrast, full duality, full opposition. Really wake us up to, hey, look at how you are interacting with this energy, how these energies are manifesting in your life. Usually Uranus happens sooner. This is often the true beginning of the midlife awakening. So a lot of people like say the midlife crisis, usually they are actually referring to, oh yes, because of the Uranus awakening. It brings restlessness, rebellion, and the urge to break free from roles that no longer serve your truth. So feel into it, how in your life, like maybe it's relevant right now, maybe you're going through this, or maybe not yet, but you're looking into your 40s, or you have already passed your 40s, but reflect back, and then now probably you get some closure. It makes sense. You don't need to blame yourself for creating those changes, because it's exactly the time of changes. Uranus asks you, shake you up to break free, break of limitations, break free of what is holding you back from living your true self. So drop in a comment how that might have happened to you, whether you experienced those already. Now come to Saturn. Remember that Saturn is like the elder, the Yoda, architect, the temple builder, legacy builder, timekeeper. It invites you to take stock. Are your commitment aligned? Are you building something real and long-lasting? Saturn is where the awakening integrates. Because without structure, the chaos created by the Uranus is just chaos. Just like jumping everywhere, drive people nuts. With structure, then the energy can be guided. It's not limitation anymore. It's structure that makes sure that primal energy, awakening, insights, find a place to land and integrate into your life and into your consciousness. So we look at how they combine together, they create in your 40s. Because they're never separate. The energies are always influencing each other, which is so magical. It's dance. When we actually allow us to relax and curious, enjoy life, we can just surrender into that spaciousness and being curious about what changes are bringing. It's actually very, very illuminating and liberating as well. The Uranus opposition and the Saturn opposition, they create like this tension. What awakes you? The Uranus, like the ball, crack you open, asking you that, are you being your authentic true self? Creating a lot of chaos, maybe finally realizing many things that are not in alignment with true self. This is usually the midlife question that people ask: on the right path, am I married the right person, and on the right job, and so on and so forth. Great questions to ask. And so that's why even if you're not in the 40, these are important for you because those energies are in your life anyway. And because the planets are influencing your life every single day. And you're co-creating with this planetary energy because it's within your psyche. So Uranus awaken you, right? And Saturn. Okay, now do we rebuild? How do we realign? How do we create new structure? What old structure have to break down on a very practical way? And what new structure have to build so that it will be more aligned with this awakened true self, more authentic version and more of yourself. So that is the midlife initiation portal. Not a breakdown, but always a breakthrough into the new you. But this new you is not a different you. It's a more expanded version of you. It's more of you. You are just becoming more and more of yourself. Ta-da! Okay, that's a lot. Let's take a deep breath to sink in. Feel it in your blood. Feel it in your cells. Feel the electricity running through your cells. The lightning bulb energy of Uranus. And feeling the bones, fascial system, the network within your body that is holding all your cells, your muscles, your blood vessels in alignment. The structure, like the Saturn energy, the foundation, the integrity, the structure. And Uranus is like the life force, the electricity that's buzzing throughout your whole system, your cells, your nervous system. Drop any questions you have at this point in the comment. I will always come back to them and answer what we find is supportive and what you want me to dive deeper so I can continue to serve you even better. For those people that are interested in both human design and gene keys. When I was contemplating my Saturn and Uranus oppositions, it really leads me to feel the resonance between these two oppositions and the channel of mutation in human design, which is the 60 and gate 3, the channel of mutation. And for me, these are part of my incarnation cross, and so it's also in my gene keys as my life work and my purpose. When I feel this energy, how they play together and weaving into different systems, it's always about like what we have to break down and what do we have to build. What kind of innovations that we have to bring into this new structure. I hope you enjoy these insights and reflect on how they are like operating in your life. And Uranus opposition and the Saturn opposition, to summarize, it can feel like you're being ripped open and simultaneously being rebuilt. And I can definitely relate to that. Uranus is like cracking everything apart, especially your identity. Because Uranus asks you what your authentic self, what is really true to you, not what the society think, not what your parents say, not what your husband or wife or boyfriend or girlfriend tell you, not your school, not your company, your friends. What is the most authentic version of yourself? What your soul truly come here to be, to do, to live, because you are an art. So Uranus opposition rip you open, breaks down. It can be like a breakdown, especially when we talk about breaking down your shattering your ego structure identity. Okay, remember, your soul and your higher self will not give you something that your human cannot handle. So if you're feeling particular type of intensity, take a deep breath. I know it's tough. I have been through that. I know that the dark hole can be, but my invitation for you is take a deep breath, slow down your life, create space. If you want support in navigating changes, watch my previous last video. So this is your soul rebirth. That's a very trippy at times, like breaking, rebuilding. But when you start to relax and learn to dance with it, it's actually very liberating, because the whole point of this breakthrough is to help you liberate. I hope you are all having a wonderful time tuning this in, and I would love to know how are your relationship with Uranus oppositions or Saturn, your relationship with these planets, planetary energy, this consciousness, and what do you want to share? All of your journey if you're going through these transformations yourself. So that's it for me today. I will check in with you and prepare some amazing content for you for the next Ariel's Magic Portal. All right, see you next time.